I have just spent the last 3.5 hours on stream making a tier list. A tier list, yes, of every single archetype in the game. Most archetypes. I've tried to not include engines and stuff. Um, but there's most semi-relevant kind of playable archetypes in here, and all the decks and stuff, so like named decks. So we're gonna go through them, and I'm gonna tell you just exactly what where they come from and a little bit about them, I guess, and what the reasoning is for most of them. So first of all, let's categorize the categories themselves. Tier S is going to be basically the complete domination of the format, to the point where the deck is getting regularly half, if not like 3/4 of top cut. Did want to say like tier 0, but there's been very few true tier 0 decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! So that's what tier S is. Tier S is the complete dominating decks. Tier A is decks, and by the way, these are decks at their prime. So for example, you're going to see Blackwings in here. Obviously, this isn't 2019 Blackwings. This is Blackwings at their peak. So this is what we mean when we look at some of these decks. So tier A is pretty dominant in top cut. Not completely obliterating the format in the same way that tier S decks are, but taking strong number of top cut spots. So you're looking at like 4 or 5 top cut spots consistently throughout the season or format till they got banned or something, right? This is what tier A is. For tier B, you're looking at a handful of tops per event. So decks that are topping events, but not like taking sweeping numbers, like in the same way that, you know, I guess like Sky Striker would today, for example, like taking like 10, 15 tops. So that's what tier B is. Tier C and tier D are basically the same thing. Tier C and tier D are regional decks, but the difference is tier C is a regional deck that has had some kind of success at a premier event level. So a deck that has topped a regional, consistently tops regionals is the keyword, consistently does well at regionals, but can also has had some shining at the premier event level, is what we've done for tier C. Tier D is decks that are just solid regional decks, have done well at regionals. Tier E is basically locals decks. It's after, trust me, after tier E and F, they sort of fuse together and become this big mush of garbage. Like, there's really not that much difference between tier E and F. E, I guess, is just like, maybe there's like some recorded top of it somewhere, someday, somehow, is like tier E. F is just like, I think I just couldn't find anything about the deck, really. So yeah, some of this might be wrong. I'm sorry for that. There's, weirdly enough, there's like a lot of decks in the game. I think this is like almost 200 we went through into the space of 3 years. So there definitely is some mistakes here. Okay, so I'm sorry for that. Be patient with me. Smile. So I'm just gonna go through each deck one by one. I'll try to be pretty brief and quick. Necros is the first tier S deck that we actually came across, just going through alphabetically. Necros is on release. I think the first event was Charleston. It took 25, I think, or 23 top cut spots. 25 or 23 top cut spots out of 32 is insane. That's over half, almost 3/4. Seattle, that's the one. 75% or something, like 3/4 of top cut spot is unreal. Unbelievable, right? Tier S deck on release. After it's got a little bit watered down, and a little bit more watered down, and then Shadal and BA managed to catch up with it. But initially, Necros was easily a tier S deck at its peak. The next deck is Pepe, even though it was only around for like 13 days in TCG. But I want to mention as well, this doesn't include OCG. So for example, like Clownblade should probably be in here somewhere, but we're not doing OCG at all. And as far as I'm aware, Clownblade is just not relevant at all in TCG and didn't do anything because of release times or whatever, and ban lists and shit. So yeah, just putting that there as well. Skullcrabat Joker represents Pepe, whatever you want to call it, even though it was only 13 days. It was like YCS, Sydney, I think, and Atlanta. And this deck took like more than half top cut spot. Tier S deck. 6 Samurais with Gateway and Shien. Another tier S deck. I don't know a lot about it. I just took people's word for it. It was like 400 people watching during this. So I took, like, generally the general consensus was that this was a tier S deck. This absolutely dominated. Spellbook's probably about the same. So the reason why I said that this is not a true tier 0 list is because there's very few absolute tier 0 decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like probably like 1 or 2 you could argue for tier 0 in terms of full 100% representation of top cut. It just really isn't a thing. So the closest thing I'd say would be like 1-2 deck formats. The consensus was A. No, you're lying. It was S. Spellbooks, tier S deck. Spirals with Machine Dupe. On release, full power with double helix. Tier S. Zoo, tier S deck. I think the first event was actually probably the most dominant like representation of any deck in history. I think it was actually 30 out of 32 top cut spots. Apart from Teledad, which took 32 out of 32 spots. I don't know if this was just a one event deck or something, because I think it became like Dad Return after or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. But it was pretty much a tier S deck. Dragon Lure was kind of the same boat as like Spellbooks. It was the same format. You know, they were basically the decks, 50-50 between them, with some sprinkling of like Evil Swarm and Constellar Stun in there. Airblade Turbo was relevant for one event, but I thought I would mention it anyway. Apparently, it dominated so hard that they had to emergency ban it, so kind of the same boat as Pepe. There you go. Chaos is, with the Yatta lock and stuff, this just had access to all of the broken one-of cards you can imagine, so, and it did really, really well back then. Glad Beast, we spent a while talking about this. We spent a while discussing this. Is it tier S? Is it not tier A? If you search up the thing for this, the tops for this, it's actually insane. It's like 10 plus tops for like SJCs and stuff, like over 50%. It's crazy. So Glad Beasts probably did deserve to be in here. Apparently they won like multiple SJCs in a row. And there you go. Was insane. Tier A, again, reminder, Tier A is a deck that would kind of sweep top cut during its prime. So ABC 2016 Invasion Vengeance. Yeah. Black Wings 2012. Prime Black Wings were a sick deck. Burning Abyss took the YCS before Necros release. Burning Abyss took like 20 spots of top cut. So easy tier A deck. Dragoonity, I think with like rulers, like Ravine rulers with Dragoonity engine, I think was like insane as well. Very dominant deck. Rooster Fire Fist, I guess is what we would call this. Paleo Frog was consistently taking multiple spots in top cut, and it managed to beat Zoo later on, despite it not really being the format for frogs. So it did really well. Goki, a lot of people argued for this being S tier. Again, it was about the domination in top cut spot. Hypothetically, is Goki like an insane S tier deck? I would say yes, but going off of purely on the results, Sky Striker was way too like relevant, and kind of did better than Goki for Goki to really be S deck. And you wouldn't call Sky Striker a tier S deck, would you? Gravekeepers were insane back in their prime. People would even play like 3 Spy, 3 Recruiter. That's how good it was. Infernity was crazy during Xyz Infernity, triple Laval Chain, triple Stygian, triple Soul Charge, crazy. Inzectors, 3 Hornet, 3 Dragonfly. Cosmo Shining Victories was a very good deck. Would take massive sweeps in top cut. Then it started to slowly die off around about national season, but for a while after Shining Victories, Cosmo was dominating. Lightsworn is a deck from God knows when, 2011. Pretty good deck there. Metal Foes, same format as Paleofrog and ABC. Monarchs, the structure deck version. Big top cut spot representation there. Pendulum Magician, kind of a weird one because there's been like 5 different versions, but we decided to just go with like the FTK, and that was very, very strong and dominant, but it didn't really last that long, so it could have maybe been S tier. Just a lot of people didn't really play it. Cliff4, Tao's Turbo, etc. Very good. Salmon Grey, Shadal, Sky Striker. I don't think these need explanations for why they're tier A. Thunder Dragon is a deck that has no YCS win yet, but plenty of top cut spots. Traptrix is Hat, so this is Hand Artifact Traptrix in 2014. Massive amounts of top cut spots every single event. True Draco, Wind Up, Hand Loop, X-Sabers. X-Sabers tops are insane. I looked this up and it just ripped apart tournaments. This thing was crazy back in the day. Danger FTK, bit of a weird one because not a lot of people played it and it was only really relevant for like a format. But this was like really, really sick. Like for the event it was legal for, it was just crazy. And considering how like 10 people entered the event with it and like half of them topped, it was crazy. Orcus doesn't have any real events yet because Dart Neostar had a few and it's doing well. But as we get more results, it's pretty obvious this is going to be a tier A deck. Dino Rabbit tier A. Substitute FTK had an argument for being S. However, not a lot of people played it, and I confirmed this with Bowden, and he's a good player, and he knows what he's talking about. He said this isn't a tier S deck. Trip Dip Scoop, very strong, but not dominating in the same way that you could say these decks were. Goat Control, Mono Mermail, and Chaos Dragons. 2012 Chaos Dragons, I think. So tier B is decks that have a couple YCS tops. And I think at this point it's probably best I just start reading them off for you. A couple YCS tops, but not like sweeping top cut. So I think Altergeist is probably like tier B. Even though it won a YCS, it just has fallen off so much. So Altergeist B. Sylvans was arguably the best deck of the format, but it didn't get popularized till like super late, and then Soul Charge got banned. So it could have had more, but it would get a couple YCS tops here and there every event. Neptibus Mermail, same boat. Blue Eyes with the Soul Charge, the Brilliant Fusion, and like other stuff, I think. Yeah, probably. Okay. Bujin. Cyber Dragons this season have seemed to be topping every event consistently, one or two between them. Dark Worlds was never the best deck of its time, but was really strong and would get, you know, a couple tops here and there for basically every event. Same with Evil Swarm during Dragon Ruler format. It was a solid anti-meta choice. That's what you played if you couldn't play Dragon Ruler. Gishki Handloop, I think it was relevant for like 1 week or something, but was like really strong. But because it was like not relevant for so long, we decided to make it tier B. Zoonoid is probably the best iteration of Infernoid. So when we did this tier list, we took the best version of the deck, not just like, you know, a deck. Because like Infernoid had that like 9 versions, right? You could talk about Infernoid in 2019 with like Triple Feast and Vanishment, and Lair and Metaverse. But we went for the absolute best version of an archetype, and we thought like that was Zoonoid, and that deck did really well. A couple tops every event. Same with Karakuri, Geargia. Odd Eyes Magician was very good as well during 2015 Euros format. Lots of complexity card gaming. People top then. Rip to that. Satellanites, TG Stun or TG Agents, I think, was a good mix of decks. They got good amount of tops during their time. Trickstars doesn't get enough top cut spots in top cut to be considered a tier A deck, so it's B. True King, like Dino, I think this is supposed to be. True King Yang Zing with like Danglong, I think we've put as tier B. It feels like that deck didn't have as much representation as it should have had because it was really strong, but it would get a couple tops per event. Same with Rongo. Gadgets, back with, I think this is Ultimate Offering Gadgets, I think. Robbie Cole Gadgets. Geargia, Tengu Plants, Hero B, and Fish OTK. These are all YCS topping decks, but they wouldn't really sweep the YCS. I could be wrong about some of these older ones because I'm not 100% sure. This is 3 hours of work, so almost 200 decks. Cut me some slack. Constellars. So tier C, this is regional decks with some YCS or Premier Event success. Constellars, Crusadia Guard Dragon, DDD, overshadowed by Zoo a week later, unfortunately. We never really got to see its true power. Dinos don't seem to truly consistently top YCSs, so that's why it's tier C. Endymion, Gemini FTK, Harpies do really well at regionals, and they have a lot of event tops in 2014. They won UK Nationals, for example. Heretic Rulers were really good. Invoked Variants, it's a bit of a regional deck, had some YCS successes, is up there. Lunalights and Prank Kids, couple of YCS tops, but not enough for it to be consistently a tier B deck. Madolce, some YCS events. Some people argued that this should be tier B. Thought maybe C was fine. Magispectre, Mech Knights, Relinquished. A lot of you might not know this, but back in the day, Relinquished was kind of an okay sort of ritual. It was probably the only ritual deck at the time. But you could play Relinquished as an actual deck during like kind of roundabout Goat era, Chaos era. It wasn't awful. Ritual Beast was overshadowed by Necros, really. It was such a good deck, but it couldn't compete with, like, Necros was just better in every way. So Ritual Beast, Subterra again is like, I don't think it has enough YCS tops consistently per event to be tier B in the same way these decks are, but it is like a YCS topping contender. Volcanics, good regional deck and had some tops in 2014. Zephyra has had all kinds of different tops and variations. Synchro Fusionist, the hand loop deck was crazy. Low representation, but did get some YCS tops. Masked Hero Dartlaw, this is like 2015, pre-Necros, I think. It was alright. Grass Lightsworn, I think this is Zombie Lightsworn, Grass, whatever you want to call it. It was like a mishmash of like lots of things. Tier C deck. Exodia topped Worlds. Chainburn consistently does okay over the years. it kind of died off and stopped being relevant in like 2014. But throughout like 3 years, 2009, 2012, it would do okay. 2009, 2012. Tier D, these are just regional decks. Just basically just regional decks. Yeah. Ancient Gear. My mind's going blank. Battery Man. Counter Fairies, Cubics have a YCS top, by the way. Dart Magician almost has a YCS top. Dart Lords have a lot of regional tops. Don't know why. Trust me. I looked all of this up. For some reason, these decks just seem to have a lot of regional tops. Despots, Dino Mist, Evil Eye, Evil Czars, not Dino Rabbit. This is Evil Czar. Did I put Dino Rabbit in here? Yeah, I did. Fabled, Fluffle, Galaxy, for some reason, has lots of regional tops. Google it. Type in Galaxy Regional and you get like 10. It's crazy. I don't know why. I don't know how. Ghostrick, Gradle, Ignite, Incantation, obviously not just by itself. It's kind of like Necros, Incantations. It's like, okay, so we decided to put this in here. Laval Quasar has a decent amount of tops. Magibullets has a UDS win as well. Noble Knights, Pacifist, Psyframe, Raid Raptors, Scraps, Magnus, Turbo. Maybe could have been a tier C deck, but didn't really have the premier event level success that it probably could have had. Trains, Winwich, World Chalice. You're probably thinking, World Chalice won a YCS. Yeah, so World Chalice has no tops, except for a win from one guy, who then topped Euros that same year. So it has 2 tops by the same person. Is World Chalice really enough to make it a tier C deck? Maybe. It could potentially do it. But yeah, we've decided on D. Pure Yangzing. I know it has Denglong as a picture, but even Yangzing didn't really use Denglong. Yangzing is like 2014 sort of like stun kind of deck. Maybe you used to be able to like play like lose a turn. It was like a decent regional deck. This is what this is. This is a regional category. Yusenjus, Fire King, Baby Raccoons were actually legit in 2014. Battling Boxer, I think, was a good regional deck in like 2013 if you weren't playing against like the meta. Worms and Watts. Watts has 2 Euros tops, by the way. 2 Euros tops. I don't know, man. After this, it just becomes a mess. I'm just going to read these off because there's no point in spending time talking about this. Abyss Actor, Pure Amorphages, Arrow Mages, Assault Mode, Crystron. We don't even have Needle Fiber. Cyber Angel, Cybers, Element Sabers, FA, Furhire, Chronomaly, Pure Kaijus, Quackimeru. I don't know what this is. I can't remember what this is. Mecha Phantom Beast, Metaphys. Metaphys could maybe be D. Naturia. Heroes? I don't even know. Like Nephthys. Malefics. There you go. Malefic Stun. This could maybe be a regional deck because it does have a top or 2. Buster Blader, Ninjas, Ojamas, Pure Phantom Knights, Rockets, Shinobirds, Skull Servants, Super Heavy Samurai, The Weather, Time Thieves, UA. I thought UA would be higher. I thought UA was like a tier D deck. Nope. It's freaking... It's so bad. It doesn't have any tops. I couldn't find any. I tried looking on... I couldn't find any regional tops. Vendread, it's not F because Jeff Jones made a combo with it once. There you go. The Flower Cardian... What is this one again? I can't remember. Aliens, Gagaga, Heraldic Beasts. No, this is Heraldic Beasts. This is Heroic Challengers. Hazy Flame, Gusto, Gimmick Puppet. Oh, this is Charmers. Yeah, I think they have 1 top. Fortune Lady, Pure Dino Wrestlers, Crystal Beasts, Black Luster Soldiers. So like the babies and the rituals. Cloudians, Amazonas. I think Amazonas was maybe a little bit better for its time. I don't believe you guys when you say this is an F deck, because I feel like this was better for its time. Archfiends, Ice Barriers, Infinitrax, Lyrilusks. What is this one? What is this? I don't know what this is. Magnet Warriors, Dark Magician Girls. Apparently there's like an archetype of it. I didn't know that. There's like Magician Girls, apparently. Melodious. Oh, this one's Melodious. Magician Girls, Karibo, Crawlers, Reptilian, Red Eyes, Predaplant, Time Lord, Jurak, Nordic, Tindincle, that's the one. Umbral, Witchcraft, Valkyrie, Vampires, Violon, Morphtronics, and Triamids. There you go. There's a bunch of like random stuff here that we didn't really do, like Demise, OTK, Cyberstein, Magical Sign. They should probably be on here, but like, it started off as like archetype tier list, and then it became like a mixing in decks and stuff that were relevant for like one format. So it probably was like a lot of effort to try and do them all. But anyway, we finally did it. That's 200 decks and archetypes rated in just 20 minutes. Wow. That's... Stream, if that doesn't deserve some gifted subs, I don't know what does. Alright, thanks for watching. If you disagree with anything, please leave a comment down below. I'll be curious to hear your input. Again, like I said, a lot of this is going to be wrong. Not as much research as I went into this. This was really just like a fun thing because this tier maker thing is a bit of a meme right now. But yeah, shout outs to Scrapling for putting this all together. Really appreciate that. And yeah, see you next time.